You weren't there, actually.
You were in Chicago.
I was in Chicago.
Don't bring up that part. The rest of it's fine. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Renatus J.A.M. My name is Jay Stark, and joining me, as always, is my fearless co-host,
Mr. Matt Snyder.
Mr. Matt Snyder. You know, we need to get better intro, like we need to like reverb and all that crazy echo on our intro, right?
Matt Snyder.
So as we're getting started, I'm just going to give a quick note here to our producer in chief. We've got some background music going on right now. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Well, I kind of liked it.
Well, yeah, it's not bad to have.
It's a little distracting, but it was good music.
But it was good music.
Yeah.
It's just I don't even know what the laws are regarding just playing music.
Copyrighted. I don't know.
Can we get copyrighted? Is that what you get?
Laws.
Is that the verb for when somebody comes after you for copyright infringement? Is you get copyrighted?
It is the term. If it's not legal, it's slang, but it's what people use. You know what I mean? Like it's what people say.
So I do this with my kids every once in a while, where I give them a hard time because they come home with these like interesting words, and they look at me and they go, "Dad, did you understand what I meant?" And it's like, you know what? Touche, kid. I can't argue with that because that's
right?
communication.
You can't. It's true.
So
you instantly know what it is.
Right, wrong, or indifferent doesn't matter.
Yep.
If you understand what the other person is saying, it's effective.
But you know what? I didn't get. I remember the first time I heard "sus" from a teenager as suspect, right? And, that's so sus, and I'm like, what are you? What?
As far as I understand, that actually came from a mobile game called Among Us.
Oh, okay.
And basically, all it is kind of that mafia werewolf style role playing game where one person's the bad guy. They're going around taking out other people, and then everybody accuses everybody.
Huh.
And
I never heard of it, but I'm old. I'm getting.
Well,
I'm getting to that point.
You don't
where
have
I realize
teenagers yet.
Not yet.
When you start getting teenagers and they start,
but people my age have teenagers. That's what gets me, right? Is I have friends with kids in high school.
Okay, I got to tell you this one. So we go to Whitney's high school reunion. 20 years, right? 20-year reunion.
Yeah.
And they're having people stand up for different things, right? So who's got the most this or that? And they actually say any grandparent in the room stand up. And a girl totally stood up.
Nuh-uh.
20-year high school reunion, and she's already a grandma.
Wow. Only in Utah.
Right? She's like 38 years old.
Yeah, and grandma. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Gotta love it, Utah.
Crazy. I am not a grandparent yet.
You're not, but the possibility.
The potential is there.
He's got a 5-year plan. So,
I've got a 5-year plan. Yeah. I think that's all up to my children. I don't know. I'm just going to.
They're a part of that plan.
Okay. Now that we've gotten way off into the weeds here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to recognize we're getting started just a little bit late. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, we do business, right? Mm-hmm. We are engaged in actively building and creating with Renatus, and we got a little busy. Therefore, we got a little bit late, and that's okay. But we're really excited for today.
We had a rental emergency.
Well, I wasn't going to tell people what the emergency was.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I mean,
dude, we can wait. We can talk.
You're gonna get me into trouble. I can feel it coming right now.
That's my job. It's my 5-year plan
to get me in trouble. Oh man, there's so much love going on right now.
Yes.
That's crazy. So here's the deal. What I'd like to do is, instead of going through our new and exciting, I would like to bring out I'm going to call him an honorary third member of the Renatus J.A.M.
I would agree with that.
In fact, we were having this discussion earlier today. I wasn't here for the beginning of the discussion, but I was here for the end, which is that the J.A.M. should really have a silent B in there because as being, representatives of Renatus, we do have a corporate sponsor. We have somebody whom we both love dearly, admire, look up to, have learned so much from, and are very happy to bring out the very first guest that we ever had on the Renatus J.A.M. And yet again, our favorite guest, Mr. Bob Snyder.
I am so thrilled to be here with you guys, man. This is awesome.
We're thrilled to have you. Pull this in close.
Pull it
Yeah,
close.
yeah,
pull it
yeah,
close.
yeah.
You got to get up here
You
and
gotta-
just hug on it a little
You
bit.
got it.
That's
You
what you got to do.
Show it a little affection.
You know, with the headphones on and the microphone right in front of us, all of a sudden, your voice sounds so much more
It's
appealing. doesn't it?
awesome. It's
Right?
so cool.
I find that I tend to like lower my voice a little bit.
Yeah, just
Hey,
deepen it up.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like
Accentuate
very.
a point. Just make that. Just yes.
Yeah. Add to the gravitas.
I've got to tell you, I am thrilled to be here. I love being on the Renatus J.A.M. This is fantastic.
Well, you are our corporate sponsor. You are the reason that not only that we're here, that every single person who's participating with us online, who is watching this live and after, they are all here because of you.
That's right.
Isn't it interesting? Talk about a reciprocal relationship, because I'm here because of them.
Wow.
That was deep.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of goes both ways, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Uh-huh.
I love
That's
it.
the beauty of it.
So, I've got a series of questions for you.
Fire away.
And
I have a
and
series
think
of answers.
That's good.
And if he doesn't, I got some. I'm
Yes.
sure. It
Matt will
won't
be
be
able to
right.
back me up. He'll be able to share the backstory behind any answer I give you.
Matt's just going to start making answers up. They're not going to be right, nor will they be relevant, but I've got an answer for you.
That'll be fantastic.
Okay, so first, how did you get started in the world of direct sales?
Wow. You know what? It came with a level of dissatisfaction for what I was currently doing for a living. That's where it started. And I think that's where it starts for most folks.
Right.
I was working in the printing industry. I'd been there for a decade, and while I was making a pretty good living, the challenge is that I was never home. It just seemed like it became, even though I was making a little more money every single year, I was seeing my family a lot less. And I got so sick and tired of the fact that I was kissing my kids goodbye in the morning before they were out of bed, and I was kissing them, hello again at night as they were already tucked in.
Yeah.
And that happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it's on occasion went to Saturday, and then even sometimes on Sunday. I was handling press checks for my clients, so I would go back in the middle of the night because our presses rolled 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I thought, you know what? I should have been a doctor. At least I would have gotten the title for all of these late night interruptions when I'm getting calls from the press department saying, hey, you know what? Did you actually stipulate PMS 185 on this job jacket? I said, well, isn't that what is written on the job jacket? Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Can't you make sure at another time, right?
Ooh, that's brutal.
Anyway, I dealt with that for so long. And I'll tell you the other thing, too. While I certainly had great relationships with the individuals that were at the printing companies that I was with, I was just immersed, unfortunately, in a sea of negativity and limited thinking. Individuals who, the language they used, the jokes they told, the things they did, it wasn't an environment conducive to a positive, happy, wholesome life. Let's put it that way. So my level of dissatisfaction just continued to grow and grow and grow because I realized that I kind of fell into this profession. It's not something that I designed. And then I had a friend of mine who gave me a little book. And I am forever grateful for that. He not only gave me the book, but he convinced me to read because I wasn't much of a reader back then. And it was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And, when I started turning the pages of that book and started to read Napoleon Hill's experience and the formulation of ideas that were created after he had interviewed literally 500 of the most successful, wealthiest people on the planet. When that happened and he shared all of that information, I had an awakening in my soul to the fact that wealth is no respecter to persons. It really isn't. The individuals who have found it and who have created it and who continue to create it are individuals who have learned the laws of wealth creation and how to apply them. That's it. I mean, there's no magic dust you can sprinkle on it outside of that. They have learned the laws of wealth creation and how to apply them. And I thought, well, then I need to learn those laws. I need to understand what it's going to take for me to be my own boss and to, strive for a different standard of living and lifestyle. And that's what I set out to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because I'm listening to your story and I'm hearing so many of the what I consider fundamental principles of what Renatus is and what we set out to do, and I'm hearing them show up just in the way that you're talking about this, right? About being dissatisfied, but then wanting to take accountability and control of your own future, wanting to be responsible for creating a life by design rather than a life by default, and I love it. I just love hearing that.
And that's exactly what we did too. And from that point forward, I've got to tell you, it wasn't all cupcakes and ding-dongs along the way. It was one of those things that required a lot of work, a lot of study, a lot of personal growth, and so forth. But the journey that I went on, I knew would eventually lead me to the outcome that I had fixed my sights on. I just needed to stay the course. It's interesting, when we were down in Costa Rica at the Leaders Retreat, Woody Woodward asked of everybody, 2 words that really describe them. 2 words. And I came up with immovable but flexible. I've really changed that since then, because it was spur of the moment. I thought, no, not flexible. That's not a good word for it. It's immovable but adaptable.
Yeah, that fits. That fits you much better.
Yeah, because, listen, I've had to reinvent myself numerous times over the years as an entrepreneur, so that I've had to adapt to the environment, to the economy, to different conditions that were kind of thrust upon us, right? But I've been immovable in my objective.
I love that. Immovable in the objective, immovable in the principles that you're applying to your own life. You haven't ever compromised those, and because of that, you've been able to create massive success for yourself and for so many others.
I'm thrilled for the part that I have taken place, or taken part in individuals' lives and in the success that they've created. As a matter of fact, I mean, some of the numbers are just absolutely staggering. What we did at the national conference with our real estate walk of fame.
Oh, that was unbelievable.
I mean, when we sit there for over an hour and a half and we just watch person after person go to the microphone, I mean, here's
share 4
my
things.
name, where I'm at, how long I've been with Renatus, and how many deals I've done. And I mean, thousands of deals came out of that room. I am thrilled for that. But I learned a long time ago, listen, I do not take credit for people's success. Because if I took credit for their success, then that would, by default, mean that I would have to take blame for their failure. All we've done is we've created an environment. We have the education, we have the tools, we have the system, we have the support, we have the community. We've got so many amazing things inside of Renatus. But the only variable, because it's a level playing ground, right? The variable is each individual. And if they take the bull by the horns and they go out there and they drive huge success, we are going to applaud and celebrate that. Yeah. If, on the other hand, they want to do nothing and become nothing but blame others for it, I'm not feeling bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's their decision either way.
Man, the difference, the factor is them, is the individual.
We are the tool belt. That's what I heard. We're the tool belt.
That's really a good analogy. Yes.
Yeah.
Renatus is the tool belt.
For an individual who's right in the middle of another remodel. Yes.
Yeah, that right hits home, huh?
We are the tool belt.
Yeah.
Yes, and
you got to stop doing those.
Those tools in and of themselves don't get the work done.
No,
right?
Don't.
It takes a person to do that.
That's true. Even the best tool in the world is going to sit there and look at you without somebody giving it direction somehow. So what does the word Renatus mean, and why did you name this company Renatus?
You know what? Here's what it goes back to. My previous company prior to Renatus was obviously in the world of real estate investment education and so forth. Right. I wanted to bring forward all the things that I loved about that experience in that company, while leaving in the past all the things that were holding us back.
Right.
And I wanted a total and complete refreshment of name and image and branding to make sure that we could accomplish that. I'm sitting in my office, and I've been there for a while. I mean, I spent 2 weeks just hunkered down crafting a business plan, and in writing that business plan and developing, my all of my financial performas and estimates and really getting my executive summary dialed in and the whole darn thing. I'd crafted a great plan, but I had no name for the company. And I was struggling with that because I wanted something that would be so easy. You don't want a name that everybody knows, because that means that the URLs are already gone and taken, right?
Yep.
You don't want something that's going to conflict with somebody else's brand, somebody else's image, somebody else's name, somebody else's reputation. You want something that you can start fresh with. So I was trying to think of a cool little word that I could create that would just roll off the tongue, maybe had a nice acronym with it. And I wasn't having any success. I wanted a Bing or a Google or a Yahoo or a whatever that we could do, because then you don't have any trademark infringements you have to worry about. You don't have any URLs out there that you have to worry about getting. You can grab the .com to the .tvs, whatever it might be.
Right.
I didn't get there. And my wife came in and she said, well, okay, I can tell you're obviously frustrated, and you're trying to do this. What is it you're really trying to accomplish? And I explained that to her. I just want kind of a rebirth, a restart. And she goes, well, that's interesting. And we got talking a little bit about it pretty quickly. I'm opening up the Latin dictionary, and I find in there, under rebirth, the name Renatus. And even though, yes, there was some conflict out there in the world for the name Renatus being used, I thought, you know what, it's significant enough to me and strong enough identity to what we want to accomplish that I'm willing to go out there and build our brand around it. Yeah. And that's where it came from. It really can be for individuals their financial rebirth. It can be a rebirth of their business practices, their relationships. I mean, there's so many things that we teach in Renatus. It's not just real estate investing. Because I realized early on that real estate investing strategies is just one small piece of the puzzle. There's so much more to it, because wealth is a mindset. And if individuals don't have that mindset, they're never going to accomplish all that they are capable of.
Oh, man. I love that, because, I know that you've heard so many times that Renatus is a self-development company with a Renatus wrapper. Or Renatus with a real estate wrapper.
Yeah,
it's with a Renatus real estate wrapper. Sure, why not? But it's really about that mind shift, right? That shift from thinking, why is it that everybody else is having all of this success, to why not me? Why can't I go out there and do this?
Right.
What's the biggest obstacle that so many people face inside of Renatus? Our ICMs, we have so many ICMs that are out there that are progressing and doing so many things. What keeps the others on the sidelines?
The programming of the past and constantly trying to drive down the road looking in the rearview mirror. If they could leave the past in the past and get present to who they truly are and what they're capable of, then they would focus on these things and shed from themselves all the limiting beliefs that hold them back. But unfortunately, that's not how humans are built. We have a tendency to change slowly over time, if ever at all. And that requires effort, right? That's what it's got to have. It requires effort.
It's work.
So as a result of that, we want to make darn good and sure that they are with us for the long haul, because I believe that people can change. Sometimes the most frustrating thing about our business is they're not changing on our timeline.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have to make allowance for that.
Right.
Which is the reason why, after the first year of education redemption, we give them complimentary lifetime access, so that they get the new classes, they get all the new information, they get the updated classes and so forth. And it keeps them involved with this community, because I know that if they are continually surrounded by this kind of impactful influence, that they can and will change over time to become the person of their dreams. Now, whether that takes 2 months or 2 years or 20 years, it's all right. I've always said Renatus has got to outlive all of us.
Oh, yeah.
So that we can create that legacy of change that is a big part of our mission.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that the person standing between us and who we want to be is us?
Is ourselves.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And so many times we think of this life being a test, or we think of the problems around us as being these just overwhelming obstacles that that we can't overcome, when in reality, if we would just realize that this life is here to reveal us to ourselves, to reveal our true potential, and that the obstacles that are in front of us are not there to stop us, but instead to help us become stronger.
Yeah.
And increase that belief in ourselves. I mean, go ahead. What are you thinking?
So that's like you just said the obstacle is the way. Is that what you just said?
Well, I wasn't. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good book. Go read it.
You know, it's interesting when I think about, because I relate business, I relate progress, I relate opportunities, so much of that to my kids.
Yeah.
Right? And as a father, I look at my children and I can see them for who they can become. You know, I can see their strengths. I can see even their weaknesses. I can see some of the obstacles that they have in front of them that are just obstacles that we all face, and then obstacles that they impose on themselves. Right? You know, being scared of snakes, for example. Self-imposed obstacles. Some people might not feel that way, but
and they have no idea why you even brought that reference up. And that's going to tie right back into the way that Matt started this whole thing. So you opened that door so that he can talk about why we were late for the podcast today.
Well, so we had a bit of a rental emergency over at one of Bob Snyder's rentals. So he's getting a tub put in. And the tub guy wouldn't put the tub in because there was a snake there. And it was like, anyways.
You know what?
Yeah, they sent us over pictures of this snake. And I mean, the snake looked to be a lot bigger and a lot more ominous than it turned out to be. But he would not touch the snake. As a matter of fact, he made the comment. He says, "I do not get paid enough for this kind of stuff." And I'm looking at pictures of the snake, and I'm thinking, listen, these were the absolute best pets for my kids when they were growing up. The best pets.
Yeah.
Because you can catch them wild, and you can domesticate them, right? Turn them into your little buddies. You only have to feed them once a week.
Yep.
I mean, they don't make any noise. It's not like you got to take them for walks. It's the perfect pet for a child. And I know we've got a lot of people out there that are cringing at the thought and going, all right, you had me. You had me, you know. Now you've lost me. So I took the snake whisperer with me, and he just went in and, you know, picked him up and put him in a bucket, and we walked out.
So yeah, I grew up with snakes. I had lots of them as a kid. But what was hilarious about this is the guy is doing research on Google, and he's like, this thing is 6 feet long and poisonous. Okay, and I'm looking at the picture and I'm going, it's 2.5 feet long and it's not poisonous, but okay. And so, anyways, we get over there and it's 2.5 feet long and not poisonous.
Well, and see, that actually ties all the way. We're going to go full circle here, back into where I was going with this comment in the first place, which is that obstacles tend to grow in size as we focus on them.
Oh,
yes.
amen.
Right?
What a perfect example.
That is a great
That's a perfect example.
This snake went from just being a hindrance, a nuisance, to all of a sudden it's 6 feet long, poisonous, and it just swallowed a small child.
Yeah.
Right.
Quite literally, my brother-in-law, we've got like this thread going about it, and he's like, that thing could swallow my arm. And I'm like, are we looking at the same picture? What is this? Like, this thing is 2.5 feet long and docile.
So the whole point is that, you know, you going there, having that experience and confidence to walk in there into a situation where you knew, all right, I am in no harm here, or
you're right, experience,
right.
And I mean, I've handled this particular type of snake since I was literally probably 4 years old.
And so you go in there, and within 30 seconds, you removed the nuisance that literally stopped construction.
Stopped
a
it for
team of construction workers.
Stopped it for hours.
Yes.
They had to clear their whole day tomorrow so they can come back and finish.
So that just so much kind of relates to what Renatus is all about, which is empowering people to see beyond those obstacles that enlarge as we focus on them.
Oh man, what a beautiful analogy, because that is so true, and that's exactly what happened. That snake might as well have been Godzilla to everybody in that house. I'm telling you, it was. But you know, I mean, we all have fears, and you know, and I think that it's really important to get educated, and those things, those fears, those obstacles that are so big become so small. Investing in real estate with no money. Right? That's one that if you are educated, if you know how all those chess pieces move on the board, like you're gonna find an opening, and you're gonna be able to do it. You're gonna be able to put together a deal, because the money's there if you got the right deal.
Right. If you've got the right deal and the right education and confidence.
That
Confidence is so
experience,
key.
confidence. Yeah. Somebody who's done 100 deals but doesn't have the money right now, probably a lot easier for them to find somebody.
Right.
Right, where to find a hard or a private money lender that's going to go in on the deal because they know it's a good deal. It's going to be secured against that real estate, right? Like it's it's about experience and education. So
Yeah.
it's about having the right tool belt.
It is about having the right tool belt. And to go back to the snake analogy too, is that there's really only one poisonous snake in the state of Utah, which we're very fortunate about, and that's a rattlesnake, and they're fairly identifiable. In some other areas of the country and the world, that's not the case, right?
Right.
But because Matt had experience and because he had a lot of confidence comes through successful repetition, right? His competency comes from the fact that, he had that experience over time and he had a lot of knowledge about these little slithering creatures. So as a result, it was not a big deal for him. But the poor guy who was working on putting a new tub and shower in and making this whole thing happen was absolutely terrified, but because he had no previous experience. And he conjured up in his own mind all sorts of limiting beliefs that held him back from just picking it up and putting it in a bucket.
And so I started this. I went down this whole road talking about my kids and relating how they have these obstacles, right? So with each one of my kids at different times in their lives, I've had the same conversation with each one of them. And I tell them, I say, hey, I see this obstacle and you can overcome it in this way. And they may have some excuse or they have a reason why that's not possible or whatever it is. And I always say to them the same thing. I say, do you trust me? And they say, yes. Do you trust me enough to know what you're capable of? And they say, yes. I say, great. Trust me now. Do it this way. And then you see that confidence grow in them. Because they go, I can handle this snake. I can just grab this thing and I'm okay. There's nothing here. This obstacle is really just a speed bump. It's not this mountain that's going to stop me.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, so when we walked in there, I looked at that snake and I instantly saw it through his eyes, the guy that was doing the tub work, and he's terrified over in the corner. And I saw it through his, if you had no experience with this whatsoever, that would be a scary thing to reach down and grab.
Right.
But I knew particularly with the type of snake it was and everything that, and the temperature of the home. It was sitting on concrete, so I knew snakes are cold-blooded. The colder they are, the slower they move, and the more docile, if you will, they are. And so, I just picked it up.
Right.
But
and I got to tell you, Bob, what you've done for me is similar to what I've done for my own kids. Is giving me the permission to overcome my own fears, knowing that you have been where I am going, and that you believe that I am able to overcome this obstacle on my own. And with your encouragement, I've done things that I never knew that I could do before. And I've become somebody new that I did not know I could become. And I believe that's what Renatus is really aimed at, is doing that for every single individual.
Look at you, Mr. President. You're all grown up now.
You're all grown
Yes.
up.
Look at you. I think this is fantastic.
Absolutely.
But isn't that what we do for one another?
Yes.
Individuals who have already gone the way have an opportunity to pave the way, and that's what we do in Renatus. It's a big reason why the community in Renatus is so critically important. Because when you've got community, then that means you have a number of like-minded individuals who have similar goals and objectives in an environment to support one another, to lift one another, to encourage one another, and to help educate people so that they aren't paralyzed by fears. And fear is an overused acronym, but I'm going to use it again today, and that is false evidence appearing real, right? False evidence appearing real. We went from a 2.5 foot little garden snake, to suddenly now it's 6 feet long and poisonous.
Yeah.
And the reality is that the snake and its nature did not change, except in the minds of the individuals who were reporting back to us what they were encountering.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that, listen, the fears of the past do not have to come forward to cloud the vision of the moment so that you can't act. when I hear people say, "Oh man, real estate or business takes money to make money," I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't have to be your money,
Right.
right? When I have individuals who say, "Oh, I don't want to ever be a landlord. That just sounds like so much pain and effort and work and toil and challenges and constant interruptions," and I'm like, no, that's not been my experience. I mean, it really hasn't. But how much pain and toil and interruption and challenge have you dealt with your job, right? I mean, individuals they'll spend an hour on the morning commute. They'll spend an hour on the evening commute. That's 2 hours of their day. They'll spend 8 to 9 hours at work. So now they're really, 11 hours into this, if not 12. They're half their day's gone.
Yep.
I mean, if they're really taking care of their health and their well-being, they're going to get at least 7 hours of sleep. So when folks are talking about, well, I need to do this to maintain balance in my life, I'm like, you're already out of balance. There's no such thing as balance. All you can do is give time to the moment you're in.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is true. And I've done it. I've actually done it to the point where I was commuting 2.5 hours each way for a job. This, was
I remember that
prior to Renatus, but yeah.
I was over here dangling the carrot, going, "Hey, you know what? All you got to do, come market, man. Come sell a combos.
That's right.
Come help enroll people. Come save the world, one person or one family at a time." And eventually, that's what he did. And then after he was out in the field marketing and selling and building a team, I said, "Boy, I really need your help inside the office." And I am grateful that you accepted that opportunity.
Me too, because it's what led me here, and I'm eternally grateful for everything that led me here to Renatus and to working with you, both of you, as well as the rest of the home team, and I'm truly grateful, because I've worked a lot of places that you want it to be, you want that camaraderie, you want that brotherhood, you want that kind of feeling. It's just not there, and it's just rough. So, plus, I'm learning things that will set me up for retirement, right? Because that's how I get that all the time when people ask me how, like, what is your plan to retire? What are you thinking? Rental properties is my plan. I don't get too focused on the fix and flip or any of that kind of stuff. It's cool if that's their bread and butter, not mine, right? But what about all those phone calls, right? And granted, this is funny that we're talking about this, because we did get one of those phone calls. It's the first time that I've ever had that call, or I know that you've ever had that call.
I've never had a call like that, but I thought it was actually another grand adventure that we needed to go on together.
It was a good time. I had a blast, but totally worth it for what it does. Totally worth it. A call occasionally about a bathtub, or really a snake behind a bathtub. To have a retirement and to not have to work because of that retirement, right? Because you've got, 20 rental properties. I know you're going to get phone calls, but to me, that's so worth it to get an occasional phone call instead of, and, especially you guys have got people in place and people to call and all that stuff. And so you're not the one putting the tub in, you know what I mean? So anyways. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
It is a beautiful thing.
And I love how you've created an environment where a community can thrive that is focused on empowering each other, on being the tool belt, but then also giving instructions on how to use the tools.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna segue just a little bit here, because we have a really unique opportunity coming up this Monday to have Brian Carruthers come out on our Founders Live. Now, I want to ask you, why was it important to you to bring Mr. Carruthers to our community?
You know what? I mean, I certainly lean a lot on Scripture, and I don't talk a lot about religion, on stage or things of this nature. But there is a Scripture out there, some really powerful advice. It says, "In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses." Yeah. Well, guess what? I mean, I know a lot of 7- and 8-figure earners in the network marketing and direct sales industry. I happen to be one of them. Brian is an individual who's accomplished a great deal. I remember reading his book, How to Build Your Empire. And previous to that, I'd outlined a book, because I'd have so many people that have encouraged me over the years. They said, "Listen, you got to get all this stuff down and written down and recorded so that you can pass that along. And I've started a book a few times, and I just never completed it.
Yeah.
Well, reading his book, How to Build Your Empire, was a game changer for me because I realized everything that I would have written, he's already done, so why do it again, right?
Yeah.
I was so impressed with his understanding, and I discovered that the reason why we have such similar philosophies is because he was trained by a lot of the same people that I was trained by early in my networking career, which I'm very grateful for. Here's an individual who is a veteran, a seasoned veteran. He's earned over $25 million in the industry. His teams, his organizations have been paid over $530 million in commissions.
Wow.
That's significant when you can make that kind of a positive impact on the lives of others.
$500 million.
Other individuals.
Over $500 million.
Yeah. His organizations have stretched into the hundreds of thousands of people. He's done a pretty good job that way. So I take a look at it and I go, all right, here's an A player.
Yeah.
And I have been teaching and preaching for so long simple, basic disciplines that if repeated over time can help a person to achieve the success that they're looking for. And I feel like I have become a prophet in my own land. Bringing an individual like Brian in, $25 million in earnings, his teams have earned over $530 million in commissions. An individual that has that kind of track record, I want them to listen. I want them to pay attention, because this is an individual who's going to come in. He's going to be on our Founders Live this next week, and he's going to share with them the secret sauce, what they need to do to go out there and build their empire. And I want people to pay attention, because this is not just me saying, hey, you know what? This is what I would suggest. This is an outsider who has an amazing track record of success coming in to say, these are the things you need to do if you're going to create success in yourself and others.
So how important is this for any active ICM that's looking to actually take advantage of the Renatus opportunity? How important is it for them to be on the Founders Live?
You know what? That's a great question, Jay. It really depends. It depends on what they want out of life. If they want to settle for a life of mediocrity and sit on the sidelines and watch other people become successful, then they really shouldn't show up, because they're right on track, right?
That's a good way to put it.
And
yes.
I hate to be that
Good
harsh,
way to
but
put it.
sometimes that's exactly what you've got to do. You've got to be able to say, listen, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you are dissatisfied with where you're at in life, if you truly want to affect a change in your life, and you want that change to be lasting, then you've got to learn from individuals who have already paved the way so that you have a path to follow. Mm-hmm. And if you're unwilling to separate out an hour of your day to come and learn from an individual who has accomplished it and who has what you are striving to achieve and to become, then you just need to, consign yourself to a life of mediocrity. Just make a mental decision. Don't say, well, I wish I had this or I wish I had that. Just say, I choose not to accomplish things in my life. I choose not to grow my business. I choose not to improve myself. I choose not to go out there and make for myself a better life. I choose not to contribute to the world in a way of significance that would impact others' lives so that they could in turn achieve. I choose not to do those things, and I'm just fine with that.
Yeah.
If that's an individual's, mantra, then they're already there.
Yeah.
If they see the world a little bit differently, and they want to become something of significance, they want to become better, they want to be a greater influence, they want to make more, they want to achieve more, they want to give more, they want to experience more, then I don't care what's going on Monday afternoon. They need to separate themselves some time to come and join us on the Founders Live.
That goes right back to what you've said so often about sorting the serious from the curious, right? Honestly, if somebody's serious, all it takes is the invitation. They're going to recognize the opportunity, and they're going to make it a priority.
Oh, absolutely.
If somebody's curious, they may show up. They might not. It's not really going to be that big of a deal because it's not going to be high consequence to them.
Yeah.
But just like you said, if you want to live a life of true impact, if you want to be intentional about creating your own path, then you need to be there.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be anything that'll stop you or get in your way.
Yeah. When I think about, the price I paid kind of coming up through the ranks, I never missed a meeting. I never missed a meeting. I never missed a training. I never missed a regional training. I never missed a national conference. That was unthinkable, unspeakable. Those were things you just did not do. You never miss a meeting. You never come alone. Now, were there times that, I got stood up on appointments? Absolutely. But I never, ever had a no-show, ever. I had a me-show.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yep.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
I was always there.
Yeah.
I was always there, man. I was at least a me show.
That's right. You said no show, and I was like, wait.
I love how
you remember a few times I got stood up.
how
But
you
no,
were
I had
like-
a me show.
You were zeroed in on that. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, it's like, what? Wait, there have been times,
It's
know,
kind
where
of like
you-
this. Listen, there was a point in time where I got so good at sharing the story, so good, and I mean, so compelling in the things that I shared and the opportunity presentations that I would give, that I never, ever, I should say this, to kind of rephrase it. I got so good at telling the story that people always said yes.
Wow.
Or no. Or no. It was always one of those things. It was always one of those things. It was either yes or no. And you know what? I realized that I was okay with that, because the more no's I got, that just moved me closer to a yes. And we say that on a regular basis. We teach that and we train that. But it's so true. I mean, you got to think about it. Once somebody's 5-star qualified, if they make a sale of our Epics combo, right? A cash sale, they're going to make $11,200 commission.
Yep.
$11,200 commission. Well, listen, I've gone out and talked to people and said, hey, I'm just kind of curious. If we gave you $100 for every single phone call you made, every single person you talked to, we gave you $100. When would you stop dialing?
Never.
When my fingers fell off.
Exactly.
Is it possible, maybe even probable, if they've developed a certain skill set with the story and the offering that we have, to talk to 100 people and make at least one sale?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, this actually kind of, I was thinking about it, this job that I was driving 2.5 hours or commuting 2.5 hours to work. Sometimes I rode the train, but and back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would, on average, I was using an auto dialer with this company, but I would average 300 calls a day.
300 calls
300 calls a day.
Ooh.
I probably talked to, I would say probably between 30 and 40 people a day.
Okay.
Right? Now, most of those were rather short conversations. But I'm thinking now, fast forward to when I was marketing and generating 30 leads a day.
Mm-hmm.
I was calling all of them, right? And calling less people and talking to less people. I made exponentially more money. I made a lot more money.
Well, the compensation plan is the
never,
compensation plan. That's
exactly.
the beauty of it.
I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
I worked my tail off to make a sale that would get me $500.
And in our business, I mean, if you made one sale out of 100 conversations, if they bought an Epics combo,
Yeah.
then you're making $11,200. If you average that,
Yep.
you're over $110 a call. $110 a call.
Man, when you do the math like that, it becomes so easy to stay motivated and to stay on top of it and to realize, oh, you know what? A no right now, that just took me one step closer to getting my next yes.
And that's why when people say to me, "Oh man, I really want to come to Super Saturday, but I've got a conflict in my schedule." I'm like, "Well, okay, well then change it." I really want to come to the national conference, but just don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off this year. Got some other stuff going on. Well, okay, what's your commitment level to your future? The Thursday night meeting, well, my guests have kind of bombed out on me, so there's really not a lot of point in me coming up. Listen, and if you have had a great week, then by dang, the meeting needs you.
Yeah.
If you've had a bad week,
You need
the meeting.
You need that meeting.
You just don't miss those kinds of things, because those are the money-making activities that helps to drive success and make things happen. And that's why I say individuals who want it will figure out how to go out and get it.
So do you think that somebody whose commitment level is contingent on other people showing up, do you think that shows up in the way that they talk to other people?
Oh my goodness, yes. What I refer to it as is lead poverty consciousness. Lead poverty consciousness, because what it shows me is that they don't have enough folks to talk to. And what they're generally doing is they're having a conversation with individuals, and they're desperate for them to say, yes, I'll come to the meeting, because they just don't have another 50 prospects lined up right behind them. If you have enough leads and someone says, yeah, not really interested, maybe I can make it, they give you a wishy-washy commitment, so they're not coming. Or if somebody says, I'm not interested and I don't want to be there, you say, great, that's fantastic. Let's stay in touch, man. We'll see how things, kind of unfold in your life in the future. And you dial the next person.
Yeah.
And then you dial the next person, and you dial the next person. Individuals who get themselves into a position where they generally don't have enough guests showing up, it's because they don't have enough leads to call. And I am suggesting that our See the People, we have 4 money-making activities in Renatus. It's See the People, Tell the Story, Build for Events, and Follow Up. The reason why we call it See the People instead of generate a lead and contact and invite them, right, or some other title for that, See the People, is because there's 330 million people in the United States. And people are our resource.
Yeah.
That's who wants our education. They want a change in their life. So if individuals will simply open their eyes to see the magnitude and the volume of potential prospects that are around them every given day, then that is where they start. See the people.
Yeah.
And if they're not seeing the people, they need to get out of their stinking apartment and from behind a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to talk to people, but when you have lots of people to talk to and you do get a no, it doesn't sting like it does if that's the only person you're talking to. If if you only have one lead and they say no, it's kind of like, oh.
Especially sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, but I had, I probably got I don't know, 10, 15 no's a day.
Yeah.
If I even got that far, right?
Right.
But all I needed was one yes, and it made it all worth it, right? And when I start to stack up those yeses throughout the week, I got that guy on Monday that he's going to show up, and I got those 2 ladies on Tuesday, and they're going to show up, and you know what I mean? Like you start to, I got, by the time the Thursday night presentation would roll around, I usually had an average of about 10 people that had said yes to me, that were going to show up. And then typically there was only about 3 or 4 maybe that would show up.
Because if you're doing it, you're out there making it happen, you're going to have about a 30 to 50% show up rate. On most individuals are going to be in that 30 to 35 range. Yeah. If you're really good, you can get it up to like a 50% show up rate. Unless you're an individual like, we've got some folks that are more in the 70. I was never a 70%er. Yeah. Right? But look at that.
But who cares? But who cares? When we got to the Thursday night presentation and I'm talking to my 3 or 4 guests, it never even occurred to me all the people that said no. I never even thought about them again, right? Like point. I'm concerned with these people standing in front of me that are yeses, and I'm getting their order in the system.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's awesome, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about how it is that that people get just stuck in that rut. They're scared of that no. They have that mentality of if you don't say yes, then that somehow decreases my value.
Yeah, which like that's an external validator. That's what Woody would say. It's being external.
Right.
You're needing validation externally from these other people that what you have is good.
Right.
But if you know what you have is good, it doesn't matter what other people say. You're just trying to show them. And if if they're not okay with it, then they're not okay. Whatever. Hey, best of luck to you. I didn't wish them harm or anything. Like I didn't, like you suck. No, it's just. I truly wish you the best. I hope you see it in the future. But
you have learned well, young Padawan.
You think so? We've talked so much lately about inspiration, about how as people are filled with inspiration, they're no longer counting the no's. They're not counting the yeses. Instead, they're so inspired that they're taking action. Yeah. And that action is leading to further inspiration and to making a difference in other people's lives. Absolutely. Right? I love relating it back to when I got engaged to my wife. I got engaged. She was my girlfriend at the time. But we got engaged, and every single person that I ran into, I told them, I got engaged.
Yeah.
Cashiers at the store, people at the gas station.
Yeah.
Didn't matter who. And I could not have cared less about any negative reactions they had because it didn't affect me.
Yeah.
Nothing changed in my world. I I had it. I was inspired.
Yep.
And I think that if our people could be filled with that same level of inspiration, where it doesn't demean their opportunity or who they are based on somebody else saying, yeah, no, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Next, let me just share this with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're going to go out there and they're going to make a huge impact.
Yeah, and then people do, right?
Yeah.
Which is why we say the ignorance on fire versus knowledge on ice, right?
Oh, yeah.
The ignorance on fire is people who just, they know they got something good, but they can't communicate it very well or whatever, right? Like they're still trying to fumble through that and figure that out, Yeah, but they're telling everybody about it.
Oh, yeah.
And then and if they get a negative reaction, it really doesn't change their fire. They're still they're moving on to the next.
Right. And I love that, because somebody can absolutely fumble a message, but if they believe in it 100%, you so forgive them for any kind of misstep or error.
It does get,
I know
that subliminal communication or whatever,
Right.
the body language and everything.
That's why I think people like Jay.
Yeah.
It's because they look at me and they're like, he doesn't really say the right thing all the time, but he's authentic about it. He's real. He shows up. But I think that if everybody were so just worried or just filled with their passion about what they're doing, they wouldn't be worried about scripts. They wouldn't be worried about saying the right thing at the right time every time. Instead, they would just want to share.
Yeah. Oh, and if I may, I was one of those. I was really worried about what to say in the beginning. I need a script. I need this. I need that. I need to, I need to line by line, because that's what I had come from. I had a bunch of scripts and stuff, and I rebuttal for everything, and we went through all sorts of trainings, and but after you talk to enough people, you just figure it out. Like you just kind of and then you can start to play with it and figure, oh wait, you know what, if I say this sentence first, it grabs their attention more, and then I can talk to them a little longer, and you start to really you can really fine tune the process. But it takes just making those first calls and allowing yourself to suck.
Right.
Just allow it. It's gonna happen. Just allow it, and just do instead of worry about all those details. Again, coming back to the drive, right? I'm an intellectual under Woody's drive system, and so I need to know every fact and everything, and
I love that, because it's the difference between transactional and transformational.
Yeah.
You see, because when individuals are into transaction, they've got to have a script. They need to have, written rebuttals. They need to do this and this and this. They're looking at every single person as a paycheck. That's my car payment. That's my house payment. That's
people can
everything.
Feel that.
They can feel that, and they make all of that transactional.
Yeah.
But when you gain the confidence and you start to have conversations, really genuine conversations with individuals to determine whether or not they have a problem you can solve.
Right.
And then moving forward from there, that really is transformational, because that's what you're focused on. You're not focused on the dollar. You're not focused on a car payment. You're
focused
not focused
on
a house
helping
payment.
people.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it becomes a whole nother game when you're helping people. You gain a sense of self-satisfaction from it. You really can see the difference that you're making, and the help that you're providing. You are solving a problem for somebody who has a problem that needs solving.
Yes.
And you've got the perfect solution for them. And those that you don't have the solution for, because they don't have the problem, move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This brings me right back to Brian, right? Because you and I talked with Brian. We had an hour-long conversation with him, which was phenomenal. And he said to us literally on the phone, he says, I live well below my means, and I could retire at any time. Mm-hmm. He says, but I don't. What was his follow-up to that? Why doesn't he retire?
It's because he's got a mission. I mean, he is very cause-driven, and it's all about his mission. And his mission aligns very much with mine. It's about the contribution that he can make in the lives of other people. He says, listen, man, if I can help one more family member, one more parent, one more spouse get home from their job and have more time with their family, if I can teach correct principles to help ground them so that they can enjoy, a greater sense of being and progress in this life. And he really focused on that. It's all about the cause.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drives me. I mean, I could have retired a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I choose not to. I mean, I love what we do here at Renatus, and that's because I get to see on a regular basis the manifestation of our efforts show up in the lives of other people across the country who are willing to do the work and make the change.
Shows up in my life.
Yeah.
I'm glad you haven't retired.
Me too.
Me too.
Me too.
And as far as what Brian said and that cause, I think as people focus on their cause or their why, they will no longer be so much worried about their technique, and they'll be committed to their principle.
Yeah.
The principle of, why am I actually doing this? Well, I'm talking with you so that I can help solve a problem. And if you don't have a problem that I can solve, great. I'm going to move on to the next guy. I'm going to see if I can help them solve a problem.
Yeah.
And I love when Brian talked about it, he talked about, bringing parents back into the home.
Yeah.
Instead of mom and dad both having to go to work, he was going to bring parents back into the home and bring the family back together. And that resonates with me hard because, I've got kids ranging from 9 all the way up to 18 now. And it's all about time with my kids.
There was something reassuring about that. And listen, everybody has a different situation, it's a different circumstance. And it certainly is a different day and age. But, man, I loved the fact that my mom was full-time. I didn't ever have to worry about where she was. I got to come home from school. The first thing you yell when you come through the door is, "Mom, I'm home."
Yeah.
And there's great reassurance when she comes out of the room and there she is. I loved that. And that was one of the things that Holly and I, when we first got married, we committed to. I mean, she certainly had a career of her own, but as soon as my number one favorite oldest son here,
You almost missed oldest.
Number one
about that.
favorite oldest. I have a number one. I have a number one oldest son, a number one youngest son, a number one oldest daughter, and a number one youngest daughter. So,
Nice.
so that way they're all number one, right? But my number one, that would have been bad. Your siblings would not have let me forget that.
Of course they wouldn't. I would have jammed it in their faces.
So when Matt came along, there was never any question. Holly made the ultimate sacrifice, which is she set her career aside and she was full-time mom. And now, like I said, I mean, everybody's got to view that for themselves. But the main reason why there isn't a full-time parent in the home is generally not because individuals choose career over family. It's because their career is necessary to support the family.
Yeah.
And if they didn't need the money, I just wonder how many would choose to, live a life of, service and in the home rather than, doing their thing.
I believe that a lot of people would do that. They would stay home. They would be with their kids more. But they're out of necessity. They've got to work.
Right.
I can remember the day that it occurred to me that I was creating my own life, that I was not living my life by default, but instead was free to make the choice to live my life the way I wanted to.
When was that?
Well, it actually happened when I was sitting with Bob one day.
Oh, really?
I was sitting in his office, and we were just chatting. And it occurred to me that I had made more money in real estate that year than he had paid me.
Oh, wow.
And I think I made him just a touch uncomfortable as I was kind of
just a touch. The way you approached it, I was scared to death you were going to leave me.
Like, hey, wait a minute! I just did the math, and I don't need you.
It was just one of those moments where I was thinking out loud. You know how you do that sometimes.
Oh
where
yeah.
Thoughts are just kind of coming, you just saying them out loud, and and then
it can get you in trouble.
I literally said,
especially if you're married.
Oh yeah,
I've said some dumb things. I know none of you can believe that, but I have said some dumb things.
Anyway, I was thinking out loud, and I literally said, "Yeah, you know what? I don't need to work here." And he looked at me, and I said, "I choose to work here.
Yeah.
I get to."
That is such a game changer.
Oh
right?
yeah,
that changes everything. And I think you've talked about burnout and the mindset and stuff, and I think about that. The things that we choose to do, you don't burn out from. It's the stuff you have to do that you burn out from.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that from that day until today, it has been such a liberating experience, knowing every day when I walk through this door, I choose to be here. And I love it. I love what we do, and I love the way that we empower others to do that for themselves as well.
And I love that you have that mindset, because I wouldn't even know what to do without you, Jay. You know, it's
Me
funny
either.
because here's the thing about Jay, and I love your humility. I really do. Sometimes, you know, you make some jokes about that. It's a little self-deprecating and so forth, and I think we all do that to a certain extent. But I want to make sure that if anyone out there has any strange notion that Jay is not, you know, one of the most intelligent, most capable, most loving, most committed individuals that I have ever associated with, then I'm here to set the record straight right now, because you are that man, and I'm really grateful you're here.
Well, thank you. Stop that. That's going to make me all teary-eyed. My emotions sometimes, they get the best of me, and they just come out my eyes in the form of tears. It's
okay to cry.
I'm filled with gratitude. I really am. And I love what we do. And that gives me such a license to be passionate about creating Renatus every single day.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I love doing it with you. And I love doing it with you. And I love doing it with the rest of the home team. I love doing it with the PAC members. I love doing it with our pit team. I love doing it with all of our ICMs and our customers. I just love being able to make a positive impact in the world.
Yeah.
Me too. Which is why I don't get burned out here.
Yeah.
That right, like it's
Yep.
you know, when you can make a difference, when you can you know, love the people that you're with and your customers, you know, that's the way I've always looked at billing, is I'm helping people, you know.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
it's been fun, and it's been an enjoyable experience. Even the calls where, you know, they're not fun calls, but I try and I'll do anything I can to find a solution.
Right.
To end on positivity and to help that person. Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all
It's all
about.
about.
You know, I know that we're well over our hour at this point.
Who says we gotta stop? I mean,
Well, you know, obviously we can talk for a long time.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
But let me just ask you kind of one last question as we're coming to conclusion here. We have upon us in the next it's next week, right? We have our regional season
Yes, we
next
do.
week.
beginning. And we have 6 regionals from DC, Fort Lauderdale, Chicago, Salt Lake, Denver,
Arizona,
Phoenix.
Yep, being Phoenix.
Sorry, Bill. Bill Prettabon's probably like shaking his finger at his camera right now.
Well,
anyway,
he's the anchor on this deal, man. I mean, you know, Denver is teeing it up with the first regional, and Phoenix is the anchor on this relay, and they're going to bring it home.
In your estimation of people who are serious versus curious, how important is this that people show up to the regional, and what can they expect to hear from you and maybe from the other leaders, both regionally, nationally?
You know, this is an opportunity for us to really get together and to share and impart the wisdoms that we've gained over the years. I'm going to teach individuals exactly what I have done, to go out there and strive to, you know, for excellence, to build large teams, to generate great commissions, and an incredible lifestyle.
That formula.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill talks about.
Well, and it is a formula too,
Yeah.
and I'm going to talk to them about money-making activities. I'm going to talk about the power of duplication, what it is for them to grow themselves into this business. We're going to talk about the 5 different levels of digression and what you need to do to stay out of anything that is taking you away from money-making activities. And then we're going to talk about the 6 different levels of progression, and those things that are going to move you forward to become the leader that others are looking for, so that you have a law of attraction working in your favor, where you have people that want to do business with you. They seek you out for your knowledge. They seek you out for your experience, because you have now become the person that has achieved what they want to accomplish. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff, man. We're going to talk about the compensation plan. We're going to talk about tools and systems and programs. We're going to talk about contacting and inviting. We're going to talk about follow-through. It's the basic building blocks with some unique in-depth twists to ensure that people get a clear understanding of what they need to know so that they can become successful.
Should they come with a pad and pen in hand, ready to take copious notes?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. You know, I'm here to tell you, the events you don't attend can't help you. I mean, they just don't. Just like the books you don't read can't help you. So this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity. But I want to encourage people, don't just come to the event, come with someone else. Meaning any prospect that you have had that has attended an epic presentation, and they've got a good understanding of what Renatus is, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they've been to an epic presentation, they've been to a property tour, maybe they've gone to an intensive, they're really starting to get acquainted with us so they can make a good decision about us. One of the very best closing tools that you will ever have available to you is a regional training, because they're going to spend 2 full days getting trained, getting educated, getting inspired. They're going to spend time at the awards ceremony looking at all of these success stories being recognized and validated on stage.
It hits the drive.
Oh, it hits the drive.
A regional hits every drive.
It most certainly does, man. I mean, if they're an executive and they're looking for the proof, let me tell you, the proof is in the pudding. It's there. It's just, you got a whole room full of it, right?
Exactly.
If they're a validator and they're thinking, man, I really want to be recognized for my accomplishments, they go to an awards ceremony and they sit there and they watch person after person after person, hour after hour after hour be recognized for what they've achieved and accomplished. And they're going, man, that's going to be me next regional.
Yep.
Right? I mean, if they're a relator, they're going to come to the Renatus Hug Fest. And they're going to see people from all walks of life, man, coming together, loving on each other, supporting each other, and they're going to say, I want to be a part of this. If they're an intellectual, then we're going to drill down and we're going to show them the tools, the systems, the support, the understanding that they need to have so that they can, in their mind, construct, you know, a path from where they are to where they want to go.
Yep.
And if they're a director, they're going to be able to see so many folks that are driven so that they can experience life to its fullest and to travel the world in luxury. They're going to see, I mean, yeah, when you talk about hitting all the drives, that's exactly what a regional conference or regional training does.
The regional and the national hit everyone's drive, and they're the 2 best closing tools, and I used them a lot. In many cases, it was just somebody, I'm just going to put in my ICM. I'm going to wait for the edge, whatever it was. Or I'm just going to buy the essentials because they want to dip their toe in. They're really not sure about all of the education. I got more combos out of regionals and national conferences than any other tool I would use to close with. I made sure I got everybody there.
Because their belief, right? It goes from their head to their heart.
Yeah.
Right.
So much so, and I believed so much so that I knew they needed to see it, that there were times I paid their national conference ticket or their regional conference ticket because I was like, I know where you're at in the process. I know if you see this will be the difference maker. And so I would, you know, obviously I didn't do that for everybody, but there's been a handful of times I've done that and it was worth it.
Yeah.
Every time was worth it, actually.
So let me ask you a question, and this is for both of you. Is it satisfying to see somebody's belief in themselves either ignited for the first time or increased dramatically? Is that satisfying on a personal level?
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, that is the transformation. Again, we talked about transactions versus transformation. That's another big part of the transformation. I love to see that happen in the lives of others because that helps to meet my mission. And there's no better place to do that in a regional or a national conference. So this is a perfect opportunity to see that unfold right before your eyes. Brendan Burchard, I really like that guy. He's just a genuine kind of guy, right? You know, best-selling author, done a lot of coaching, training, and all sorts of stuff. One of the things that he has shared over and over again that I have just assimilated into my life is the fact that he says there's 3 basic human needs. 3. He said, we want to live, we want to love, and we want to matter. And inside of the Renatus community, people can live. You know, it's a safe place where they feel accepted. Love, I mean, obviously, we want to love and be loved. That's a big part of it. And you feel that sense inside of the Renatus community. And then, of course, you know how to do that better with your family and your friends outside of the community because of the principles we teach. But when it comes to we want to matter, man, I wish that I could just get a big old red stamp and just put it right on everybody's forehead so it was constantly visible. It would say, I want to feel important.
Yeah.
And I feel important when I hear other individuals succeed because of the environment we've created.
Man, that's awesome. I can relate that to parenting so quick. I'm sure any parent out there can just so relate to the idea that succeeding in life, that's good. But watching your kids succeed in life,
It's everything.
That's golden.
that's
Yeah.
golden.
I'm bursting with pride just sitting here, next to Matt and listening to him,
Yeah.
Thank
share
you,
his
man.
wisdoms. It's just,
Yes.
it's just awesome.
It is. And there's a reason why you've had a recent shift as well, a recent promotion inside of the Renatus home team, so that everybody can understand the value that you add to the home team and add to our community at large. You are now our vice president of
Corporate
responsibility. I was like
Yes.
company responsibility.
Yeah.
That's not right. No,
Corporate responsibility.
Yep.
responsibility.
Yeah.
But you're the vice president now.
Yeah.
And I hope that represents to everybody who's on the line with us just how much Matt has progressed and developed himself and how much he is committed to the Renatus mission for each one of us. That's amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you, Jay.
And I got to
Thank
tell
you,
you,
Dad.
Mr. Snyder Sr., I usually call him Mr. Snyder on this call, so
Yeah.
I got to tell you that I've had opportunity now to read so many books since you and I have been
Sure,
together.
brag about it.
No, it's not
just
that. It's that.
I'm teasing.
It's that I have never met, experienced, or even read about a leader with the same visionary commitment and excellence that you've demonstrated inside of Renatus, inside of my life. You've changed my life. You've given me permission to change my life. You've changed the lives of my children. And that to me means more than I know how to express with words. So that's the reason why I continue to show my commitment and dedication to you and to Renatus, is because of how appreciative and how filled with gratitude I am for who you are in my life and who you are for our community. You are committed to empowering people like no one I've ever even heard about. That's not true. There was one guy that one time, a couple thousand years ago. But your commitment level to empowering people, to honestly showing up with the intent of giving them tools, giving them techniques, giving them anything that you possibly can to help them go out and believe in themselves and create for themselves a new level of success and a new level of belief in themselves. I love you. I am grateful for you and who you are beyond what I have the capacity to properly explain or express.
Thank you.
And I hope I hope everybody on the line knows, I have a lot of fun on Mondays when I get to intro you. I have a lot of fun when, you let me MC the national conference. I have a ton of fun being there and being able to share that enthusiasm. And I mean it.
Well, I can say all the same things about you, and I so appreciate and value our relationship and who you are in my life and to the people in Renatus. It's interesting because we've each got a unique set of skills and experiences that individually define us as who we are.
Yeah.
And what I've found over the years is that if a person struggles with a certain thing and then they work through the process of overcoming it to achieve success, to put a check mark in the win column, then what they are, and I think I got this from a podcast you sent me, but they become the most uniquely qualified person to help other individuals who are exactly where they were.
Yes. You become the most uniquely qualified person to help your previous self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I love that because that's the way that I've always felt. I've helped leaders, I've trained leaders, I've assisted individuals. If somebody comes into this business and they have a natural inclination towards just speaking to people, having conversations, closing business, and making things happen, they generally become less effective in teaching and training because they don't know how they got there. But the individuals who have struggled through the process and kind of come up through the ranks and had to overcome it and then win, man, those are the ones I want to listen to all day because what they have to share really impacts the group as a whole.
Yeah.
And we each come from different areas that give us that perspective. And I'm just thrilled to be amongst you. I mean, I certainly retain the title of CEO, and Jay's the president. Now Matt's the vice president. That means from now on we'll never be able to travel together. I mean, it's too big of a risk, man. I mean, we're gonna have to take separate planes, separate cars.
I get my own plane. Are you guys hearing this? That's what I just heard.
You do. You get to buy a seat in coach.
I get my very own Delta Airlines plane with 200 other people.
You're sharing.
Yes.
Because
you're sharing.
You know what? I mean, giving is living.
Sharing is caring.
Yes, sharing is caring. Yes. I'll take it.
Man.
I'll take it. Yeah, absolutely.
I love how much fun we have on this podcast, and I love that everybody can tell this is very unscripted and very live and
you
very
had to say
authentic.
It. We were joking about that before.
Well,
actually,
no, it was
about how somebody said what was it? Somebody said something about it being like scripted, or like if you scripted it, it would be like this or something. I don't remember, but we were like, yeah, it's not scripted. There's nothing scripted about the J.A.M, right? But like we like to bring value wherever we can.
Yep, and we like to bring it authentically, and we like to bring it with all energy and all the fun and all that.
And getting rid of the script helps the authenticity.
Yep, and I am absolutely thrilled to be invited to be your guest on the J.A.M. I got to tell you that if for some reason Jay is on vacation, I'm happy to fill in. And it's the Jay and Matt show, right?
Yes.
J.A.M.
We'll have the
well,
BAM.
if it'll be the Bob and Matt, it'll be
That's
the BAM.
right. The
It'll be
BAM.
the BAM.
Yes, we'll have the BAM.
So
That's
we'll go
right.
from J.A.M to BAM.
Nice.
What happens if I'm on vacation?
It'll be the buh.
The silent J.
Silent J. Yeah, Bob is the silent B.
It'll be the jab.
Excellent.
Well, thank you, Mr. Snyder. You're amazing.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate this very much. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope that the individuals who tune in thinks it's a lot of fun as well. If you do, then you're my kind of people. If you don't, then well, enough said.
We love you anyways.
That's right. You're still welcome.
Even though you're not watching.
That's right. Even though you're not watching it.
Well, I tell you what, on behalf of myself and Mr. Snyder, we want to give a shout out to Mr. Andrew James, who's our producer every single week.
Oh, yeah.
And we also want to remind you that the reason why Renatus rocks is because of the people who are associated with it. So, Mr. Snyder, will you do me the honor one time and tell everybody, all of your fans and friends and family at home,
Renatus rocks.
Yes. Awesome. Great one, guys.